Hey, welcome to another episode of Just Say It. I am Matt, joined by Chase. I guess not with Chase.
I am here.
You are here.
I am by. We can get into some communion talk.
Yeah, it's like
about the Lord's
Luther
presence.
and Calvin. Are you over the table? Under the table? So much we could get into there. Well, thank you so much for listening to this episode. And just a quick announcement, because we're releasing this really close to Christmas and a couple days before Christmas Eve services. So we want to make sure that you know about Christmas Eve. We will have 2 services. What time are they, Chase? Do you remember? Bethany, do you know? 4 and 6. 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock p.m. here, 300 South Broadway. So I hope you're in town. Boulder's a great place to be in for Christmas. And even if you're not, I would encourage you, go to a Christmas Eve service wherever you are. So, it's Jesus' birthday. He's going to be really bummed if you don't show up.
Oh my gosh.
But in all seriousness, go to church. It's great. But if you're here, we'd love to see you here. Well, today's episode, we're going to talk a little bit about Christmas and things like that. But before we get into that, we're going to do our opening segment that we always do. What did you mean by that tweet? And so I'll start us off since I'm already talking.
Great.
So I've got one from Chase.
I'm just going to stare into the camera.
This was, I believe, yesterday.
Okay.
And you posted, amazing how far some parachurch leaders can stretch Imago Dei and love your neighbor to justify whatever the left wants to do.
Oh, so true.
What did you mean by this tweet?
Man, it's a good test. So when you hear Christianity Today or other organizations basically backing whatever like liberals and leftists want to do, they'll typically use the language of Imago Dei or loving your neighbor. Loving your neighbor is really popular when like they wanted to compel people to get medical experiments done on their body in the name of thwarting a global disease that was harming people. And so they use love your neighbor. You know, if you love your neighbor, you're going to do this medical experiment.
Yeah, and they'll give you fries.
Yeah, no, apparently, governor of New York or mayor, I can't remember what it was, you get a free fry if you get this medical experiment. The other thing is with the Imago Dei. The Imago Dei, the image of God, is mentioned several places in the Bible, but only like 3. Genesis 9:6, I believe, and 2 places in the New Testament where we're told that Jesus Christ is the image of God. But what's happened in modern theological discourse is that the image of God has become a junk drawer of kind of filling, like backing up a bunch of modern terminology like global human rights, dignity and worth, basically a way to talk about how we should treat other people, which is the second table of the law deals with that. God's word deals with how we should love other people, treat other people, but they'll use Imago Dei language because it sounds Latin and fancy and, intellectual, and they'll go, because of the Imago Dei, we have to let all the immigrants into our country that ever want to come, right? Yeah. And you're like, wait, whoa, hey, how did we get there? And so they'll bathe and baptize kind of leftist ideology with this Imago Dei. I don't really talk about Imago Dei that much, even though it's part of kind of my interest both academically and pastorally. I think it is an important doctrine, but I think it's overloaded and over-leveraged to manipulate Christians into thinking they have to get along with certain social and political programs that are sometimes and oftentimes aligned with leftist ideology.
Yeah, and you see it like there's actually a guy did a great takedown of Mike Cosper this week.
Yes, I saw that.
Online. Mike Cosper, if you like him, we should talk.
Yeah.
But he tried to use this term of infinite value.
Yes.
And he was basically tying it to Imago Dei, right?
Yes.
And somebody much smarter than me, actually I don't even know who that guy was.
I think he's in Houston, yeah.
Just pointed out all the flaws in it, and it was the only response back was just basically to call him a big meanie head and just be like, I can't believe you would say this. He's like, but I'm right. And that's what they like to do. It's easy to hyper emotionalize Imago Dei.
Yes.
Right? Because you said no to somebody, whether it's immigration or whatever you might think, it's like because you did that, you don't care about the image of God.
Right.
And it's like, no, that's not what I'm saying.
Right.
And so people mess it up all the time.
Yeah, they typically use it in a modern egalitarian fashion, by which I mean like they're trying to promote equality and dignity, and then they based on those 2 imports, justify how we should treat other people, and it just becomes a like spaghetti. It's just a big mess, you know, and nobody's really clear on their definitions.
And your wife hates spaghetti.
She does. I love spaghetti. She hates meatloaf more.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Meatloaf. I hate meatloaf. That's a Christmas movie.
Oh, is it? Okay, great. It is Christmas time. All right, my tweet for you, 11/26. I don't know if this was before or after Thanksgiving. You tweeted, "This is my 93-year-old grandfather. He can still lift me up when he hugs me. Life goals." And it's a picture of, I presume, your grandfather.
Yes, that is my 93-year-old grandfather.
I thought it'd be a great opportunity because I've met him once, maybe.
Yeah.
But maybe introduce the Well Church to your grandfather.
Oh, gosh.
And
I don't know if the Well Church is ready for that.
I know. That's why I wanted you to talk about him, because I've heard stories, but, you know, just a brief, like, why you admire, what you love about your grandfather.
Yeah, there's much in his life that is, he would even admit, very questionable. But interesting man. You know, he was fought in the Korean War.
Okay.
Did not fight in the Vietnam War, but the Korean War. He was a Navy UDT man, that's the precursor to the Navy SEALs.
Demolition team? Underwater demolition team?
Yeah, so he's got stories of, like, when military guys were really hard, like, they didn't have the proper sonar or whatever. I could be messing that up, but, like, to guide submarines under the ice caps. So they would swim out from torpedo tunnels under the ice caps and guide the submarines by using Morse code with hammers on the side of the submarine, guiding it, telling it where to go.
That's insane.
So that's what he did when he was like 18.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so it builds a different kind of man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, things like that. Also getting shot several times.
Yeah.
In clearing islands in the Korean War, and just crazy, crazy stories after it. My first time I ever went international, he took me, and it's questionable whether it was legal.
Okay.
You know, I won't go too far into that story. He's still alive. I don't want him going to jail.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think one of the things I always looked up to him about was he kind of refused to become old. You know, I mean, I think at a certain level, time comes and there's only so much you can do. But I think it was until his late 80s, he still did however many sit-ups and push-ups old he was every day.
That's funny.
And that was like his thing, to make sure that he was still going. And I think there's a lot of that kind of masculine energy from men in particular that is missing in these days, where it's like, I think I was sharing with you, it's funny, it's like I'm in my 40s now, and I was surprised with turning 40 how much I just kind of started assessing, looking at the men in my circles, in my lives, and I kind of looked to my grandfather. I was like, I think I'd want to be more like him.
Sure.
Because what I see a lot of guys do is go, oh, I'm in my 40s, I can't do this thing anymore. I don't do things. So, like, for my birthday this year, I tried to start picking, based off being inspired by my grandfather, things that, one, I don't want to do, and things I'm bad at, and things that scare me. Like, that's the three qualifiers I look for.
Okay.
So I climbed Seal Rock the day before, I think, my birthday, and rappelled in the dark off the top of it, and with no headlamp, which I hate that. Like, people are like, rappelling is fun. I hate rappelling when I can see where I'm going. Believe it or not, into complete black darkness was better. But, like, I was like, no, I want to keep pushing myself and making myself do things that are uncomfortable for me. I think that this is a key to longevity and having a life that just doesn't kind of settle. And I see that in a lot of particular Christian men in the church, is this idea of like, oh, I'm this age now, so I don't do hard things, or I don't go to the gym, or I don't do push-ups anymore. You know, it's like, those are things for youth. And I'm like, no, like, I have a lot of life I still want to live.
For sure.
And so, and I saw that picture of my grandfather on his 93rd birthday, you know, and I thought about last time I saw him, he came and literally grabbed me and picked me up. I'm taller than him, which is, it's weird. I'm not good at hugging to begin with, but having a man pick you up, but like, and then he promptly turned and picked up my youngest daughter and lifted her up over his head. Yeah. You know, and so, which it reminds me of, I think it was last year. I don't remember who put it out. There was a great Christmas commercial of a grandfather. Yes. He starts training all year with the kettlebell, where he like is lifting the kettlebell. You don't know what he's doing, and then he gets there and is like to put the granddaughter up high enough to put the star on top of the tree. I cry every time I see it. I'm like, that's funny. I love that kind of stuff. And that's what I want to kind of personally, I think that's a spiritual discipline as well, is just kind of not settling. So that's why I shared that.
That's great. Love it.
Well, cool. Well, anything else on any other tweets? Anything we need to apologize for to anybody?
No, I just thought it was a wholesome tweet. I thought, you know, we wanted to encourage people and let them know, get to know Pastor Matt a little bit better. So
yeah, we'll do I want to do an episode. Maybe you guys, if you guys comment or let us know. This is an episode I want to do. I want to do an episode where I interview Chase's dad, and then Chase does the next episode where he interviews my dad. I think that would be a blast.
It would be fun.
It'd be interesting. But today we're talking about Christmas, kind of more specifically. There's a lot of directions you can go when you talk about Christmas, but me thinking about my upbringing and the church and what my relationship to it, though it was limited, I had some. And then yours, which was much more involved. You went to a Christian school. You were involved in a church. And just kind of, I would say neither one of us do Christmas as we lead our church in the Advent season in the same ways that we grew up experiencing Christmas. And I think that's probably true for a lot of people in our church. And so I just thought it'd be good for us to have a conversation around why we do what we do. And why we think it's important. And so anything come to mind right out of the gate as we kind of bring this topic up, Chase?
No, it's just really important. I think you talked on it at Reformed Femininity for the ladies, but tradition really shapes us. And it's really sad to see some Christians are really anti-traditional. Anything that smacks of tradition, it can be as simple as like reciting a creed every week is like somehow a spiritual turnoff to them. And they don't really know what to do with it, and they don't want. I think in the best light, they don't want to be religious in the sense that we wouldn't want people to be religious in the sense that, it's just the forms of religion. Mm-hmm. It's just doing the outward appearance, but not having a changed heart. We don't want that for people. But that we're not supposed to do away with traditions or recitations or anything like this simply because we want to make sure our heart is pure. Traditions form us from a young age. Children are formed by their parents. So your parents shape your desires, your loves, your affections, your hates. It's easy enough to see in recreational activities and sports teams, all this kind of stuff. And we could both recount stories of our sons and their sports suffering. But yeah, I think tradition, and so Christmas and holidays, Thanksgiving and Christmas are major holidays. Easter is not as much for many evangelicals. I mean, it is significant to them, but I don't think a lot of evangelicals have particular traditions with Easter like they do with Thanksgiving and Christmas.
Yeah. So I grew up, parents were not together, and so what I got for Christmas kind of depended on where I was on that day, or Christmas Eve. And so if I was with one grandmother, we'd generally go to midnight mass because they're Catholic.
Oh, wow.
And so everybody have to stay up till midnight and go. And you think staying awake in Catholic church is hard in the morning. You should try it at midnight.
How long does that last?
About an hour.
And this is normal Catholic behavior?
It's very normal.
Oh, wow.
Midnight mass is a very normal thing.
Good to know.
And I believe they have other services, but the really holy one is if you go to that one.
The midnight one.
Yes.
Got it.
And so we would go to that, and it was that was kind of it, but it was almost like this thing that I didn't really enjoy. And then my other grandmother, who was Presbyterian, every once in a while we'd go with her to hers, or we'd do nothing. That was kind of my experience. So when I got introduced to Advent, the weeks leading up to Christmas and why it's a full celebration and a preparation and all of these sorts of things, at first I was really turned off to it.
Okay.
I remember I think you were pushing it hey, we should do this, or I don't remember who it was exactly, but it was kind of hey, we should look into doing Advent. And I kind of had this built-in thing that anything in the church calendar was, I don't know, I just
Catholic.
I just had an aversion to it.
Yeah.
I didn't like it, but that's a bit how I got there. I learned over time that I actually really enjoy it. It was funny because I think back early on in our church, and I can think some of our people now, I think they've changed quite a bit. But I remember there was a lot of people who had an even aversion to doing Christmas songs and different things. I think they had a different experience than mine. I think this would be a segue for you to talk about yours, was that Christmas was more about a production than a, I don't know, this kind of good, beautiful, rich tradition that we can really understand the coming of Christ at a deeper way. Because you grew up in a church that has the Christmas services.
Oh yeah, no, it's a whole thing, and yeah, growing up, Christmas for us was as all American kids typically, it's a big holiday. Our church was a mega church, is a mega church growing up. And so they would bring in camels, donkeys into the sanctuary and have the play. And I don't remember getting involved in the Christmas plays themselves, other than that they had a choir, and sometimes I would sing in the choir for Christmas, like the children's choir. And that was at their first location. Their bigger location, they turned it into, and I think this is how it went, but they turned it into an actual like off Sunday event where it was basically like going to a musical. So then they would sell tickets. And at that version of it, they had angels strung from whatever they use in theater.
Real angels?
Yeah, right. No, not real angels. People in the church, I guess. I don't. How does this happen? Yeah, I think there were like auditions to play in the Christmas play. You had to be able to sing and perform, and certain people would try out to be an angel, and then they would get strung up on some kind of zip line system from the rafters. And this is a
wild,
big sanctuary. I mean, you're talking. What's the theater on campus up here?
There's Mackey
Auditorium. Yeah, it's like bigger than that. And so there's plenty of room, is my point. They would have little drummer boys also strung up, flying in the sanctuary.
I've seen those videos,
it's a ticketed event. And for me, when we planted and kind of leaving that context of church, I found that distasteful, to put it mildly. I didn't really understand it. It seemed very much like a business, and money changers in temples. All this comes to mind. And then for me, I think what changed was like talking to people who have actually gone to those Christmas productions and heard the gospel and got saved. And I was like, okay, that's an interesting tidbit. It's not just performative. It's evangelistic. It's a way to reach their community. And that community, Christmas is a big deal because it's culturally conservative. And so they want to celebrate Jesus, and paying to go to a sporting event or a music concert is totally normal behavior, and it does take a lot of effort and money to put on these productions. So, if you want to ticket the event, I guess it's not that big of a deal. For me, Christmas with our family, there wasn't a lot of, they were like, I think we would do Bible reading on Christmas Eve. We would go to the Christmas Eve candlelight service. There was always a candlelight service. And we would sing Christmas songs. So I never understood people, and still don't, who balk at Christmas music, traditional Christmas music. That's just strange behavior. But
like Mariah Carey.
That's not traditional Christmas music. It's freaking awful. Do not listen to her. Don't. Okay, so anyways, yeah, I grew up in that, and we adopted Advent, and I think if we look at it from a cultural lens, so where we were at the time, there are a lot of churches in kind of the movement we were part of at the time, kind of bringing on these like traditional things.
Yep.
Right in the cusp of that, 2009 though, there was also this undercurrent of anti-consumerism. And I don't know if you remember any of this, but like a lot of churches would start doing like, we're not buying gifts this year. And so like entire families wouldn't buy gifts. They would like give money away. And that seemed radical. Oh, wow, we're anti-consumeristic. That's great.
Yeah.
Because Christmas was never meant to be commercialized. And you can somewhat sympathize with that point of view. It's not about commercialization. We don't like that. At the same time, we're very happy when, the name of Christ is proclaimed anywhere. So there was that kind of undercurrent. So then we adopt Advent, and it's kind of like, we're trying this liturgical thing because the cool kids are doing it, and older people, Gen X pastors are doing it. And Advent's one of the things that stuck around. Like a couple of years we did Lent, or we did Ash Wednesday. Yeah. And that was another attempt at that. And our elders decided a few years ago, we were just like, it's not Baptist, it's not us. But Advent as a church season is something that seems totally fine, normal, not contrary. It's a way to mark the season. Because it is a unique time in everyone's calendar where they're busy. It's squeezed holidays, 2 travel days in between, 4 or 5 weeks. And so yeah, we keep doing it, and we try to follow a traditional pattern of, hope, peace, love, joy leading up to Christmas Eve. There are some traditions you'll encounter out there, mainly in the Presbyterian tradition, that view all of this as bad, right?
Yeah.
They think having a Christmas Eve service itself is not good. It's the Lord's Day is the Lord's Day, and that's what it is, and we shouldn't make it any other day. And I respect them for being strong in their tradition, but I do not align with them. Yeah. So anyways.
Robert's rules of order can only take you so far.
Yes.
So I've had people ask me this in our church. Okay, we do Advent. Why don't we do the other things in the church calendar?
Sure.
Because, honestly, you and I have looked at it. If you look through like a common book of prayer or whatever, it would actually make our lives very easy. This whole, even planning out sermon series, the more traditional you go on that, it's a lot of times it's this is what you're doing
right
all the time throughout the year. Mm-hmm. And I think there's a lot of richness that is actually found there in the kind of the ebbs and flows of seasons and what's happening in life and those sorts of things. And I think it can be good, but it's okay, you guys decide Advent's good. Why not the rest of the church calendar?
Sure. Because we're Baptist, and that's just not what we do here. Yeah, there's really not any, because you'll get some churches that are Anglican, Episcopalian, kind of more what we call high church traditions that do these Pentecost Sunday and other days where they mark those out. The really two ones that are out of the ordinary for us, or exceptional times for us, are Good Friday. That's a Friday night service. And then Advent and Christmas Eve would be the off Sunday service. And besides that, we're good. If people want to, sometimes in our liturgy, Scott or others may say, hey, this is a Sunday where Christians celebrate Pentecost. Mm-hmm. And I don't look at that and go Catholic. I just go, yeah, okay, cool. It's a good thing to remember, but we're not trying to import a whole calendar for people of kind of these festivals, because it does get tied up into saints, and it can devolve into ritual that is either unnecessary. I think ritual is good, but it's not particular to our tradition.
Yeah, and I'd also add that it's fascinating watching kind of the church calendar, like you already alluded to it making a bit of a resurgence, kind of some more traditional things, but it's weird that actually in a way you're kind of more liberal churches, and there was this movement. I remember before we even started the Well, I remember people sending me books about how I needed to study the monastic movement.
Sure.
And it became kind of catchy. It was almost like this social justice warrior Jesus got really tied into this stuff. And so it almost is turned into a breeding ground in a lot of ways for a lot of liberal stuff to seep in. And so people are kind of disguising it as Christian when it's really not what they're doing, right? They're using these things as kind of the monastic movement or the church calendar or whatever it is, or this kind of false sense of piety, and all these kinds of things are what make us holy. And that's where we get into dangerous ground on those sorts of things.
Yeah, and one can't blame modern people for being dissatisfied with their life and looking to older traditions to try to provide some meaning for themselves. Mm-hmm. In the same way the social justice warrior may latch on to the church calendar that looks like a wheel, I think, and it has ordinary time and such, to give themselves a sense of meaning from a borrowed tradition which they weren't raised in. It's the same way that a liberal incel might latch onto Marvel characters to give their life meaning. It's very it's sad. It's a sad predicament, is my point, that modern man finds himself in, where there aren't traditions that are formative, that are passed down, that they're not raised with particularity, and they feel they've got to. It's a consumerist mindset. We're going to consume the church calendar. We're going to adopt these other things that are foreign or alien to my own family or to my own tradition. Now, if you convert to that different denomination or something, I guess adopt it. But it's the same thing with the religious smorgasbord approach. The liberal mindset towards religion is that all religions lead to heaven, which they don't, and you can just pick and choose from the Buddha, from Gandhi, from Jesus, Mother Teresa, whoever, and that will lead to a happy life. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with a lot of this church calendar stuff, where it's like a smorgasbord. It's take what you want, leave what's unhelpful, and I don't view that as a very thoughtful way to engage. I view that as engaging from a place of dissatisfaction with what is. Again, very sympathetic to that, but that's, I don't think, the most prudent way forward.
Yeah, I would say from a more just purely Baptist Protestant tradition, when people are looking for that stuff, what I want to point them more towards is And we did this with our ladies. My wife and I did a whole talk on it, but it's really developing traditions in your home, letting the church be what the church is supposed to be. Like it's actually a very freeing thing to realize as a pastor that I don't have to create everything for everybody. My job is to educate, to help, to lead, to show, to do those sorts of things. But in your home, like if you find yourself longing for those things, there's a lot of things this time of year, particularly that you can do. It's very simple to get an Advent wreath, put it on your table, and on Sunday night, have dinner, and ask your kids. This is what we do in my home when we remember. Sometimes we forget, and then we have to do it again like the next night or something like that. But so there's grace in that. But it's like what all we do is we go, let's talk about the sermon from today, because it corresponds to a candle. Once we do it, we pray. And then while we pray, one of our kids, we just rotate each time. They're getting older now. They used to fight over who gets to light the candle. Sure. Now they're a little bit more apathetic towards it. Yeah. But like, then that kid gets to light the candle, or like whatever you might do on Christmas Eve that night, there can be fun little traditions that you have that I think are really substantial and can impact your home in a great way.
Yeah, and they're formative. If I can deviate, but it's related, the topic of Santa Claus.
Yes.
This is a fun topic. I think it is. I think it's very fun because there are, I think, more Christians than I thought who are very opposed to Santa Claus. And I don't shun them. I don't look at them and think they're lesser Christians, but they're pretty adamant. Like they're it's not just like Advent wreath. That's your personal decision, Matt. We don't have one. Good for you. You should go get one. I love that for y'all. It's not like a Advent calendar. Some people do an Advent calendar, right? People can kind of overlook that. But if you mention to the wrong person that you have taught your children about Santa Claus, that person becomes very angry. Accuses you of being a liar. So maybe talk about Santa Claus. Did y'all do Santa Claus? Do y'all still do Santa Claus?
We still do Santa Claus.
Still do Santa Claus.
Still do Santa Claus, even though my kids all know.
Everyone knows.
Yeah.
If you have if you're listening with a young child in the car
and you like Santa Claus,
please turn off the podcast.
That'd be hilarious. All these kids, because their parents listen to this on their drive to school or something.
Yeah.
The kids are just crying going into school.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. I don't know. I honestly never really this is a bad argument. I can admit that.
Sure.
I never really thought about it. People are like, but you're lying to your children. I'm like, I lie to my kids all the time.
Oh my gosh.
No, about appropriate things.
Sure.
We can do another podcast on theology of lying.
Deceit. Yes, this would be an interesting topic.
But in all seriousness, we did Santa Claus. We still do. There's a present under the tree that says Santa.
Yeah, sure.
And all our kids know that Mom and Dad did that. I've heard the argument from some being like, if I'm going to give a gift, I'm not going to ascribe it to some made up thing. And I'm like, I don't know. I guess my takeaway is I'm like, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun. And I have now intentionally tried to work in describing who Santa Claus was in history.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool.
And so for those that don't do it, I mean, like you said, I don't care.
Yeah.
That's just one of those things. There's plenty of things that we can fight on, but people will come to me and be like, I want to fight you on this. I'm like, well, it takes two people to fight, and I'm walking away. That's just not how this is going to go.
Yeah.
We actually had Santa Claus at our church.
We did.
We did it twice.
It was fun.
I loved it. We were like, man, this is a great, going back to your mega church days, we were like, hey, we're going to offer free pictures with Santa Claus after church.
Yeah.
Dude, we got so many people that came to church on those days because they were like, oh, sweet, I don't have to go to the mall.
Yeah.
This will be simple. The lines will be shorter.
He wasn't involved in the service. It wasn't a production. We're not Life Church. No shade necessarily. But, we were like, well, you can just, apparently there's a society of Santa Clauses. They have meetings, and it's like families are already doing this. I thought personally, I was like, this is very convenient for me because the whole taking your 2-year-old out to take a picture with Santa Claus at the Orchard Town Center or Pearl Street Mall or whatever it is. It's kind of an ordeal. You got to book it. You got to wait in line. It's like, dude, just rent a Santa Claus. In fact, I may just do that personally. Just have him come to my house.
That would be hilarious. He shows up. I just need you for 5 minutes. What's your rate for 5 minutes?
No, I think I have a pretty strong defense of that kind of tradition, because it gets into Western tradition and Western kind of history and cultivating a sense of imagination in children.
That's way better than me just calling people nerds.
Sure. Yeah. I like to think so.
Yeah.
And so, I don't think it's wrong at all. We do the Tooth Fairy too. These are not, I think they're like games that children play. I never got into, my family never did Elf on a Shelf. Apparently people do this. Do you do Elf on a Shelf?
We don't.
I don't know if that has any connection to our history, but I see these videos online that are pretty funny about Elf on a Shelf. But I think Santa Claus is pretty like an what do they call it? Adiaphora, something that Scripture is silent on in terms of cultural traditions that are fun and playful. Of course, they can be misused or abused, I suppose.
Yeah.
But it provides a rich childhood for someone.
Yeah. Well, we were going to do a short one, so maybe unless there's something big, I have one remaining question. Anything you want to add?
No, go.
So I thought it'd be good. Chase, favorite Christmas gift you've ever been given?
Oh my goodness. Ever?
Or you can be like, what I remember.
Man, I was not ready for this.
I know, I just thought of it. We don't really prepare, so I don't know if you could ever be ready for anything.
What's the knockoff of Gibson guitars?
Oof.
Do you remember?
I don't.
It starts with an E. It was
Epiphone?
Yeah, it was an Epiphone. An Epiphone, Gibson Les Paul. So by knockoff, I'm not saying fake. It was a real guitar.
Yeah.
And I liked it. It was electric guitar. It had red.
Like a hollow body?
Yeah. And it had red and yellow kind of. It was kind of had a fade.
Oh, the
cool.
sunburst.
Yeah, sunburst. That's what they call it. And I got that for Christmas, and that was pretty sick. That was awesome. I was very into guitar at the time, so.
I could see you. You had long hair. You wore scarves.
Yeah.
Singing to girls.
Had a band.
Man.
Yeah. It was a good time.
We need to bring that Chase back.
Country road, take me home. Simpler times. What about you?
Oh, man. It's funny. The reason I thought of this, my wife and I were talking about it, because my wife loves buying gifts.
Okay.
To a point where I have to be like, we got to chill, And she wants our kids to have everything because she loves that kind of stuff, and it's great. If you're one of those we hate gifts, that's not my home. And we had a long talk about what are gifts that our kids will remember, and so we were kind of just reminiscing on our favorite gifts, and I was really shocked to realize how few gifts I remembered.
Okay,
but there are ones that stand out, and so mine was I got my own pair of skis. I got new ski boots. I got a bag for it, and ski pants to go with it. Because at that point, leading up to that, I skied all the time, but I was using all my mom's hand-me-down stuff.
Oh, nice.
Including, because this is what was in. She wore the stretch pants, ski, the tighter. I was smaller, so they weren't stretching me, but those were my ski pants.
That's funny.
And so I was I got a pair of Rossignol Viper Z's that were awesome, and they were bright yellow on the bottom. So when you turn the ski up, it would
that's sick.
Yeah, so it's putting lights under your truck.
Yeah, I love that. On
skis.
I love that.
And so I just remember I was I could not wait to get out on the hill.
Yeah.
And get out there because I was walking out with all my new stuff. I just thought I was awesome. I probably was, but
yeah, sure. You were a U.S. Junior Olympic skier at what was the ski hill that
Perfect North Slopes?
At Perfect North,
Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
Matt Patrick is the king of that mountain.
Yes, own that place.
They should have a plaque to Matt Patrick there.
That's a great idea. I'm going to call Chip Perfect to him and see if I can get a plaque. Matt once owned this place.
That'd be great.
But yeah, no, that was my favorite gift, But yeah, and I also remember one other time as a kid with I had a cousin who was really spoiled, and one year I don't know how it happened, but I got 2 more gifts than her.
Oh.
And she broke down and cried. My dad and I sat in the corner and just laughed.
Oh my gosh.
And so we thought it was hilarious.
That tracks for you.
Yeah. So anyways, well, do you want to take us out here, Chase?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for joining. If you got any questions, feel free to reach out, info@boulderwell.org. As Matt mentioned, if you're listening in time, our Christmas Eve service is at 4 and 6 p.m. at 300 South Broadway. Would love to have you join us for worship. We'll also be worshiping that next Sunday following Christmas Eve. So if your church is one of those, like many nowadays, which is surprising, who don't have service on that Sunday, we'd love for you to come check out the well. Join us for worship that Sunday. We'll be worshiping the Lord together. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.